The Nashville Soundbite presents This Week in Country Music, October 3rd through October 9th. 1 year ago, this week in 2020, Keith Urban's brand new album, The Speed of Now, was on top of the Billboard Albums chart. He told me why the project had 16 songs on it.
Yeah, there's sort of 14 songs and then there's 2 bonus tracks. But there is a lot of songs that I recorded that got left off this record that was heartbreaking for me to leave off. And that's when I hit upon the idea to do a part 1 and part 2, because I really want those songs to find their way out as well.
7 years ago in 2014, Little Big Town performed Pontoon on the Grand Ole Opry. Reba McEntire invited them to become Opry members that night. Karen and Jimmy talked about what being Opry members meant to them on induction night.
There's nothing like walking these halls through here. It's, from the very first time we ever came in here, it's just magical. And you walk through and see all those pictures and the history and the tradition. And
we feel a responsibility for that. I mean, to keep it going.
It means something. It really does.
And to preserve that reverence, I think it's serious, you know, and we feel a great responsibility to carry on the tradition. It feels super serious in the most amazing way, you know.
In 2006, 15 years ago, RCA released Chris Young's self-titled debut album. A year later, Chris shared who his musical influences were at the time.
One of the things that I got my start from was from my grandfather. He used to play 45s and 78s of people like Marty Robbins and Lefty Frizzell. My taste evolved as I got older, but I started to find stuff on my own. Started liking Keith Whitley. Moved on Randy Travis, Joe Diffie in that era, and even new contemporary stuff. You know, I draw my sound from all of that. What I grew up on, what I like to listen to, what could be done in music, how it could be taken the next step, but keeping it traditional at the same time.
28 years ago, in 1993, Johnny Cash was featured as the first country musical guest on The Late Show with David Letterman on CBS. Years later, Dolly Parton talked about how Cash was her first real crush.
He was just so magnetic, and I was a young girl, and I was in the audience. And I was probably maybe 13 or something. I don't know, I was young. And that was my first experience of what sex appeal was, you know, like somebody being magnetic and you thinking, you know, grown-up thoughts. But I always kidded him about that he was my first crush, my first grown crush.